Hello and welcome back to the ocean. In this episode we're diving Tuatiawa, one of the northern beaches of the Coromandel Peninsula. I drove up last night, camped, there's camp there, and this morning we're going to go for a dive. Conditions are looking absolutely amazing. We're going to be here for a couple days, so we're going to get some good diving in. So my fins are looking a little bit worse for wear at the moment. Getting these replaced soon, but hopefully get me through today. It still works, but my main concern is looking like an injured seal when I'm out there, having like half a fin and all. Getting up early and going for a dive is a great way to start the day. While other people are sleeping, just stirring out of bed, drinking their morning coffees, you're out there doing it in a beautiful place. And seeing the sunrise from the water is always spectacular. There's not a single time in my life where I've regretted getting up early and going for a dive. It just sets a really good pace for the rest of the day and would highly recommend it to anyone. Save your sleep-ins and your lazy days for when the weather's crap, but when it's good you should be out there making the most of it. In the Coromandel, eagle rays are very common. However, they are always a delight to see in the water. The way they move is just so great to watch. Very chill, calm, placid animals. There are also a few snappers lurking about today. However, with a pole spear, I never had the range to make a shot at one. Quite a few kahawai coming through as well. On a camping mission, I'm really being quite selective on what I'm choosing to take. Kahawai are quite a common fish, so I'm going to pass on these ones. Tuatiawa is spectacular in many regards. Perhaps most notably is the cave systems that run through the northern end of the beach. Absolutely crazy. I've been in these mainly on scuba, and some of them are absolutely huge, big enough to get a whole troop of scuba divers in there. Going through freediving is a little bit more risky, however you have far greater maneuverability. Swim through is a term given to caves that have more than one entry point. These allow you to swim through, as the name would imply. Here is a small one here. Swim throughs are great scenics, always spectacular. However, you need to be aware that the exit you plan on getting out of, you can actually get out of. Because some caves that are swim throughs would be very difficult to turn around inside. And especially when you're diving by yourself, you don't want to take any unnecessary risks. Due to how extensive these cave networks are, often the crayfish are found living very far inside the rocks. Hardly ever actually exposed to the open ocean. To get crays here, you're often going to have to go really far in. So worth taking a scuba tank. This is the premier swim through of Tuatiawa. At the back side of one of the main rocks off the beach, there is a huge cave that you can swim through, and then into this little kind of circular crevasse created by the island. Inside of the confines of a cave or a swim through, the water movements will be very different. When there's a lot of swell, take great consideration into the places you're putting yourself. Often you'll find really strong currents or surges ripping in and out of caves. This is something to be aware of. When you're looking at a cave and you want to go in it, look at the fish. If the fish are there, chilling slowly, it can't be too much current. However, if they're being thrashed around and just sucked through, you probably want to stay out of there. So that's probably going to do us for Tuatiawa. Conditions were alright, but not amazing. When you drive hours up the coast, you're looking for something special, and this just wasn't it, to be honest with you. Alright folks, so that's dive 1 done and dusted. Didn't quite go how we wanted it to. There honestly weren't very many fish, so we're probably looking at heading up the coast. Get up a bit further, try to find a bit cleaner water. Today was the kind of shade that I sometimes refer to as great white green. The kind of colour that you're like fretting about getting eaten by a shark in. Anyway, it was a nice dive, but it's not quite what we're looking for, so we're going to keep searching. Hello and welcome back to another video. In this episode I'm doing a solo camping mission to the northern Coromandel. We're currently driving along gravel roads heading towards Stony Bay in pursuit of mean fish and hopefully better viz than Tuatiawa. Last night I stayed there and dived it this morning. However, the conditions were not what I was hoping for. They were good, but I'm looking for great, and that has brought me here. Welcome. So before we get into this dive, I'd like to introduce you to a cool new piece of kit given to me by the guys at Dive-R. This one is called the Dive-R Stealth. It's designed to have a low profile in the water as well as give you extreme maneuverability. As a set, they're probably some of the best freediving fins you can get. I haven't used them yet, so I'll let you know. Pulling up to Stony Bay, topside conditions are once again looking fantastic. I'm feeling really optimistic for this dive and I can't wait to get into it. I was a little bit let down at the last spot, but I'm hoping for a bit of redemption here today. Getting into the water is a bit difficult across this very stony beach, hence the name Stony Bay. If you are going to dive this beach, I would recommend coming down in some flip-flops, just so you don't munt your feet on the rocks like I did getting down. Eagle rays are really cool, calm and relaxed animals. They are extremely tolerant of divers. Oftentimes you have to go out of your way to kind of spook them or get them to leave. I sometimes harass them a little bit, grabbing their tails and whatnot, and even then they can be very reluctant to actually get a move on and get away from you. Similar to Tuatiawa, Stony Bay has a lot of really nice rock structures and caves, areas that you know are going to be holding crayfish. Getting your head down and looking around is really the only way to find out what's living in there, whether there's some crays or whether there's nothing. In this example, when I go down, I see one small undersized crayfish. However, when you see an undersized one, you know there's probably some big ones around. Unfortunately, this dive I came back empty-handed in regards to crayfish. I didn't even see a single legal one over my trip. Hanging out in this sort of a cove, I find this school of quite small silver drummers. I open up a kinner to see if I can feed it to them. While silver drummer are generally considered to be vegetarians, there are very few things in the ocean that are strictly vegetarian. The drummer don't seem very interested in the free meal, more curious than anything. However, behind the silver drummer, I spot a reasonable snapper lurking in the distance. I can't actually make him out on video, so I don't know where he is, but I could see him at the time. Often, using a GoPro, you're not going to capture everything that you see on the day. Things out in the distance can be really hard to pick up on the GoPro when you can see them reasonably clearly underwater. However, I see a nice snapper and he's quite interested. I drop the kinner and make my way around the corner where I'm going to grab my gun, come back and try shoot him off the kinner I dropped. I'm approaching the ledge where I dropped the kinner. I'm not sure exactly where I had as I'm very unfamiliar with the area, so I'm expecting the fish to be pretty much anywhere. As I poke over this ledge, I think there's nothing until on my left hand side I see the snapper. The snapper sees me and goes behind this rock as opposed to totally spooking. I make a good prediction about where the snapper is going to end up, but ultimately end up missing the shot. Check out how begrudgingly the stingray moves, even when I'm posing an immediate threat to it. Unfortunately, we take the L for this dive as well. That was the only shot I took over those two dives and it ended up missing. I really wasn't getting many opportunities on fish. There wasn't much around and the visibility was making it really hard work, especially diving out of a new area by myself in unfamiliar territory. So tonight's dinner isn't what one would expect from a diving trip. We're eating chicken. However, that said, it does look pretty good. We're unsuccessful with our dives today in the morning at Tuatiawa and then here later on at Stony Bay. Alright, we got one medium chicken nugget. Hello, so we're on the second morning of my solo camping mission. We've gone for a walk today just to check out what the visibility is like, what the conditions are like, and work out a plan from there. Conditions are absolutely spectacular. Sea is looking nice and flat, very inviting. However, visibility wise, I'll be honest, It's looking even worse than yesterday. I seem to get really unlucky when it comes to diving northern parts of the Coromandel. Every time I come here, it's just super green. Yeah, so that won't do, guys. We're gonna go for a bit of a walk, scout out a few more spots, and then we're gonna get out of here and see what else we can come across. Alright, so I was just walking along, observing nature, and check this out. Big stick insect. How cool is that? It looks like it's actually missing 2 of its legs. So being out and walking remote trails like this gives you a lot of time to think and reflect. A quote I'd like to share with you is, your health is all that you have. I think that's very true. Without your health, you have basically nothing. There's no point having $1 billion if you're bedridden and ill. And I think that also applies to lesser extents in many facets of day-to-day life. Your health is the most paramount thing that you should be looking after. If you look after your body, it will look after you. Having a fit and healthy body enables you to do the things that you love. Go places, travel, and meet people. Without your health, what can you really do? If there is an afterlife, what do you think we take with us? Is it money, expensive cars, your stock portfolio? Or is it perhaps things that are more transcendental, harder to quantify? Things like memory, love, and spirit. I believe it would be the latter. I think it is futile to invest all of your time in accruing material wealth. So this area of the Coromandel is home to a spectacular variety of birds, due in part to trapping efforts in order to remove possums and such. So we've got a pretty big landslide here. Couple fallen trees and whatnot. It's pretty common in the Coromandel when you get big storms and cyclones and whatnot. Alright, so we're gonna call it there, guys. I've been walking for probably about an hour and a half now, and the track just continues to keep looping around the mountains. So I'm gonna head back, probably put on a bit of a light jog, get to my car, and then we're gonna get out of here and find some better spots to go diving. Potentially even the Coromandel's west coast, something like Amodio Bay, even Fantail if I'm feeling a bit frisky, but we'll see how we go. What a day, man. It's just a shame the water isn't clear. I'm pretty fussy about viz, to be honest, especially when I'm diving solo. Solo diving in an unfamiliar location, short fins, by yourself. It's a bit scary, honestly. Well, Ducky, want the music bar? As far as campgrounds go, Stoneleigh Bay really impressed me. The facilities they have there are quite amazing, as well as just the size of the campground. It offers many spots that are sheltered in all weather conditions. However, it just wasn't right for us this day. The diving was just not on. I believe that vaccine passports are straight up retarded, but a great way to segregate people. I think that to go camping, you shouldn't have to scan a vaccine pass. Goodbye, Stoneleigh Bay. Hey Jacinda, if you're going to get us all inoculated with Pfizer pharmaceutical bullshit, can you at least be sure that it works first? Leaving Stoneleigh Bay and crossing over to the Coromandel's west coast, conditions are looking even better topside. There is virtually no swell and no wind. So the conditions today are fucking amazing. I just wish it wasn't so great. But still, great day to be out.
We've got a lot of cool stuff growing. And for me, it's not so much to live off the land, although when the world shut down...
Unfortunately, as it usually is, the west coast of the Coromandel was significantly greener than the east coast. It couldn't get much worse, but it definitely did. I would like to apologise if you watch this video expecting to see a bunch of fish get killed. Something my usual format, we're going out and getting some really nice eaters for the table. Shooting plenty of fish on the spare gun and getting mean footage. This unfortunately had none of that in it. However, I still hope that you enjoyed this alternative content. This episode's sustainability message is if you're camping, don't go out there with the intention of trying to kill as many fish as you can. It's stupid. After this, I ended up going back to Tyro. There was some amazing diving over the next few days and I can't wait to share it with you. Stay tuned.